Hello everyone, this is Jen from Foxley Handmade, and today I am chatting about an upcoming pivot I have planned for my business, and also wanted to take a little trip down memory lane with you. I've really been thinking about where I started and all of the steps in between that have taken me up till this point. So I had a lot of fun today, kind of reminiscing, digging through the archives of things I've created or done with this business for the past 5 years for Foxley. So I do have a little bit of a pivot announcement to make, and I will save that to the end. So first, I just wanted to start from the beginning. So if you have been around for a while, this might not be new information, but if you are not, if you are new around here, this might be new for you. So starting from the beginning, let's say in 2009, I started selling sewing patterns. And so I started selling sewing patterns that were kind of like this. I really was working with drafting software that I had learned in school, so I was kind of combining skills that I had learned. I knew how to draft sewing patterns, I knew how to sew, so I combined those two and started selling the sewing patterns. And then that led me, after selling sewing patterns for a handful of years, I ended up pitching a portfolio of illustrations to a fabric company for licensing in like 2015, so that was about 6 years ago. And I haven't talked about that much, and there's a reason why, so I'll get to that. But first, I'll just show you a little bit about the fabric line. I just found these is fun to look at. I haven't looked at these in a while. These are all the sell cards, I don't know what you call them, from the fabric line that I did back in 2015. And it's interesting because if you've been following my recent work, you can kind of see threads of how my style has developed from here, but you can still see pieces of me in this, which is kind of fun to look back on. So I created this fabric line for a manufacturer 6 years ago, and the reason I don't talk about it that much is that it was a total flop, and I barely sold any fabric, hardly made any money at all, and honestly it was just like a real blow to it was a blow to my ego, frankly. And I thought that I just did something wrong, or that there was something about my style that people just didn't like, and I really just took the wind out of my sails at that point. And so I think after the contract with this manufacturer expired, I then created a whole other portfolio of artwork, which I haven't shared here, but I created a whole other portfolio, and I spent, hours and hours and hours pitching a whole new portfolio of work that I felt like really represented me to a whole new slew of fabric companies, and nothing. So after that, I honestly didn't draw for a while, because I just felt like, okay, there's something that I don't have that other people have that I don't have, and so it's not meant to be, and it's not something that I felt like I wanted to keep pushing. So I ended up kind of pivoting away from that. This was 6 years ago, and I started Foxley. So Foxley, if you've been around from the beginning of Foxley, I started with canvas and leather bags. This is the one I use all the time. I did leather totes, all kind of these geometric details, really simple but high quality stuff. And so I did that for a few years, and I really became challenging to keep up with it, because it was all one-of-a-kind, unique pieces. So at that point, I started thinking, I am going to work with other artists, because I felt like I couldn't do it myself. I was like, I'm going to work with other artists, and I want to support local artists in my community, and I really admire and believe their work. believe in their work, so I decided to kind of piggyback and collaborate on what other people were doing, and I put other people's art on pouches. And so that's, I think, what I've became known for after a little while. I'm gonna turn this over here. So I've worked with several different artists to create these beautiful pouches. It's all digitally printed fabric, super bright, colorful, practical. And I've been doing this for at least the last 3 years, if not 4. And these slowly but surely became what I was known for. And I loved the collaboration of working with other artists, of kind of having that back and forth interaction with other artists, supporting them supporting me, vice versa. And it was a really lovely relationship that I have had with 5 different artists for the pouches. And maybe you can see where I'm going with this. So, like I mentioned, with the illustrations that I did and the whole artwork that I pitched and it didn't get picked up a handful of years ago, I just did not draw for 5 years and felt like it just wasn't interesting to me anymore, because I felt like I had failed at it. So I, right around Christmas or maybe January, I was really thinking about what's my big dream? What's my big dream for this business? How would I feel most fulfilled? How would I feel the most connected, I guess is really what I mean, with my business and with my customers? Because I sometimes felt like I was a little bit of a go-between. I was the introduction between you, customers, and the other artists that I worked with, and I love doing that, but part of me really felt like I wanted to go back to doing my own artwork, and it felt very daunting. So I had a sit down with myself and I tried to think about what are the things that have inspired me in the past, what are the things maybe that are around me that I've taken for granted that I haven't really considered as being influences. And I talked about this extensively earlier this year, but my great-grandfather has a series of folk art paintings that he did in the late 1800s. I've talked about this a lot, but it's always kind of been in the background, and I never truly looked at them for what they were and how much they actually did inspire me and my aesthetic over time. So with that in mind, I felt like it felt really safe to take a body of work that my great-grandfather had done, kind of reinterpret it, reimagine it with my own, I guess my own flair, and turn that into artwork. That felt like something that was manageable for me to do. I'm pinning my papers down because it's windy. Okay. That felt something that was manageable for me to do. It felt like a really great starting point for me to get the juices flowing again, I guess. So I created the Heirloom Collection in February, and I did lots of illustrations, fabrics, and I had so much fun with it that I just kept going. And I did tea towels, and these became more loosely tied to the original illustrations as time went on. And it really inspired me to take these influences of artwork or whatever that's around me that's influenced me in the past and really make it my own. So, all that to say, I have been gradually making it really a habit to have a consistent art practice, and I have created a lot of work, way more than I've shared here. I've created a lot of new stuff, and the goal of that is really trying to just reconnect with my passion for drawing and illustration, and try to reconnect it with fresh eyes, and with the hope of making something brand new that I feel really reflects me. So That's what I've been working on. You saw earlier this week I released these art prints, these kind of botanical desert wildflower prints, and I've been working on some other things on the side, and so that was the longest lead up ever to what the actual pivot is. So moving forward, I am going to be focusing pretty much exclusively on my own artwork. So that's very scary for me for all the reasons I just told you. So I'm going to be focusing on my own artwork. I am going to be creating new bodies of work to share with you on different things like towels and napkins and pouches and bags and all of those things, and art prints, and I've done greeting cards, and I'm really excited to keep exploring this kind of new side to my business. And so with that said, I am going to be discontinuing and clearancing out the vast majority of the artist zipper pouches. And some of you might feel a certain way about that because you've been around for a while. So I have a little bit of logistics to work out in terms of how that's actually going to go down. It's going to be within the next 2 weeks. And I will be, all of these pouches and more, I have a fair amount of inventory right now built up of these. And so I will be working behind the scenes to create a really awesome event for you where you can have a last chance to get these designs, stock up for Christmas. They'll be at good prices, obviously super limited, just depending on, I have really fluctuating levels of quantity of each design. And so that's about it. Oh, yeah, so I will be discontinuing these, more information to come for sure. And I also, to celebrate my 5-year Foxley anniversary, which is next month in August, I am going to be creating a new limited edition collection for you. So I'm going to be marrying elements of my original Foxley roots with my new illustrations, stuff you haven't seen before, and this. I'm going to be marrying that together and doing a new limited edition collection for you in August. I love seeing all these comments. I wish I could save them. I wonder if they'll show up later, but I haven't read all of them. But thank you guys. I can tell you're excited and supportive, so that's really lovely to see. Thank you so much. So I will be announcing all of that soon, but I'm also going on vacation next week, so I might be a little quiet, but I'm working on it. So thank you all for your support. I'm like getting a little choked up. It really means a lot, so. Okay, thank you all.